Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today I want to remind you that this has always been about all the money as well as all the gold. That is what this has always been about. And I'm going to show you something in this video that was brought to my attention this morning that will remind you of this and should blow your mind. All right, now, and this little tweet right here kind of reminded me of this. Those of us who have been in the space long enough know XRP is the chosen one. The insiders are not wrong. XRP was designed to handle all the money, and gave me and Brad Combs a shout out. Said you need to listen to us. I appreciate that. But they're right. In fact, I've wondered if this account right here was another one of these Rachel Lee type accounts that knows some things at times. Every once in a while, I'll see that account pop up. First, let's look at the market. The market has kind of been up and down today, but we have added, I think, over $20 billion this week into this market, and that is very significant. Okay? All right, moving on. Now, here's something interesting that happened today. We don't ever see any of these people from the board of, I can't remember if she's an advisor to Ripple or on the board of directors. It's one of them. But this lady's a big deal. And she says Ripple is working to move the entire cryptocurrency industry toward better regulatory compliance. Blockchain Ripple. Now, this lady, just to remind you of who we're dealing with, co-founder Rice Hadley Gates and Manuel. I'm not going to go into all of them, but suffice it to say, if you're bored sometime, go to rhgm.com. This is the firm that she is a part of. That is Condoleezza Rice, who was the Secretary of State under George W. Bush. And these guys were all, this guy was, what's his name? Let me see if I go to him. He was Secretary of Defense, I believe. I hope my internet is not acting up again. I'm getting that circle thing. Well, that's no good. Let me see if I can do something here. See if that works. All right. I'm going to try that. Yeah, he's Robert Gates, and he was the 22nd Secretary of Defense, 2006 to 2011. These are not small fries. These are people that are a big deal, and they just she just happens to be involved with Ripple. You know how that goes. All these coincidences, right? And then I wanted to bring to your attention this. I haven't had a chance to go through it, but David Schwartz was on on Charlie Shrem's show and did an interview with Charlie Shrem. And so and by the way, Charlie Shrem's the guy that went to jail back in, was that 2012 or 11 or so? Went to jail over, I can't remember the name of his company, but it had to do with Silk Road and all that. Or I think he went to jail for a short while. But anyway, they did an interview. Then Ticket Attorney sent me this. Now, for those, first I want to show this. Hot off the press, our backed Bitcoin futures reached a new record high of 11,509 contracts traded today. Each contract equals 1 Bitcoin, an increase of 85% from our last record-setting day. So this market is doing things that are a lot different than what's been going on, folks. All right. Now, this is what I wanted to show you from Barry Silbert, okay? If you've been listening to this channel, I'm going to say it right now. I called it. Sorry, I don't mean to be the I told you so guy, but I called this. I called this from over 2 years ago. I was a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley, as I said, as I've told you all along, and that is what made me, that was one of the things that made me spot the digital assets for what I thought they were going to be early on. But what I have been telling you for over 2 years now is that it's once the financial advisors can find out how they're going to get paid, they're going to go from telling all of you what they have been telling you, which is, oh, you need to stay away from that crypto stuff. They're going to go from that and they're going to go to, oh yeah, we think you need to allocate your portfolio, and it's going to be anywhere from 1% to 5% of all portfolios in the world. That's institutional and retail. That's where this is going. That's why it's so important. When you hear these guys talk about how they think digital assets could be a non-correlated asset, they want it to be an asset that behaves differently so that they can balance out portfolios and it can be an addition to portfolios. That's why that term means something. So Barry Silbert is now marketing to financial advisors. This is the second time this week we've seen this. Attention financial advisors, and he's tweeting this from Grayscale, which is his company. They have put out, now is the time for advisors to better understand cryptocurrency as an investable asset class, introducing our digital currency toolkit for financial advisors. You can't make this stuff up, folks. We've listened to all these mind games being played for the last 2 or 3 years now, and all along, if you've been paying attention, we knew this day was coming. The Digital Currency Toolkit for Financial Advisors. This is a Medium article, and this is the actual toolkit. So the who, what, and why of investing. And more importantly, they're just throwing the bait out there right now, but they know that the question that the financial advisors are going to be asking at the very end of each conversation is, how do I get paid? What's the percentage? And that's what this was always about, folks. These people need to know how they get paid. All right. I need to give all kudos for this to Brad Combs. He has the Digital Perspectives channel. Now, because of what he just sent to me this morning, I want you all to go give him a subscribe. He's at 19.6. And if you would, please go click the subscribe button for him. He deserves it. Let's take him over 20,000 subscribers. And this guy has really been growing really fast because he has been putting out some really good information. And he sent me this today. This is big, folks. These are comments. There goes I was watching my sons outside. This is on the OCC's website. That's the Office of the Comptroller. And yes, that would be the same Office of the Comptroller that said that banks can now custody digital assets. This document was from that. The guy that's writing the document, it's comments regarding the OCC proposal, exploring special purpose national bank charters for fintech companies. The guy's name is Dr. Douglas Jackson, which we will get to in a minute. He was the founder of eGold, which got shut down, folks, okay? Now, I want to draw your attention to page 11. This one blew my mind this morning. Here it is. Ready? This is comments to the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. In other words, I guess, to Brian Brooks. In contrast, XRP, the native currency of Ripple, is effectively a fiat currency. At its inception, Ripple Labs created 100 billion units of XRP, 20 billion of which were retained by the creators, who were also founders of Ripple Labs. The creators gave the remaining 80% of the total to Ripple Labs, with XRP intended to fund operations. The monetary policy of Ripple Labs has been stated as, quote, "We will engage in distribution strategies that we expect will result in a stable or strengthening XRP exchange rate against other currencies." In other words, only the forbearance of the people sitting on this vast pool of play money prevents release that would kill the golden goose. Now, words mean things. What does forbearance mean? I looked it up for you. Well, shoot, let me get this down. Forbearance, the act of forbearing or refraining from something. So let's go read this back in context. In other words, only the forbearance. In other words, they're refraining. They're sitting on their vast pool of play money, preventing release that would kill the golden goose. You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like, and they just said here, this distribution strategies, like almost like you're allocating it to certain groups. And something that Mr. B has always said to me is, why would the banks take XRP, or why would they buy XRP, even at a discounted price, to just sit there with it and watch it? Why would they do that? What's the incentive? Let's read that again. The monetary policy of Ripple Labs has been stated as, we will engage in distribution strategies that we expect will result in a stable or strengthening XRP exchange rate against other currencies. In other words, only the forbearance of the people sitting on this vast pool of play money prevents release that would kill the golden goose. Unlike government-issued fiat money, there's the second time he's referred to XRP as fiat money. In other words, a fiat currency, effectively a fiat currency. No entity has the ability or responsibility to buy an XRP in sufficient quantity to quell a full-on panic situation. The best that can be done is to slow or halt further release of additional money. There is all sorts of things in that. Well, I think it's time that we go and look at who this guy is, which I did. Dr. Douglas Jackson. Dr. Douglas Jackson started eGold, and he was shut down. eGold was shut down, I believe, by one of the agencies in 2008. Just happened to be the year that Bitcoin came out. This thing gets shut down. All right. So I went looking around for this guy, and again, his name is Dr. Douglas Jackson. When I went and typed in Douglas Jackson, I found an interesting thing right off the bat. I found this Medium article. Look at the title. The title is Coin Perspective, Douglas Jackson. But the subtitle, which is in quotes, is even more interesting. eGold was never about gold. It was fundamentally focused on payments and settlement. Now that quote is all I wanted to show you from this article. There's a lot in this article. But I'm not going to go into it. I just wanted to show you that quote because it immediately grabbed me. Now, I was able to find one video with this Douglas Jackson in it. It's a recent video. It's a podcast called the Did You Know Podcast, episode 72. There's several interesting clips. I listened to this entire thing, 1 hour and 42 minutes, and there are some very interesting things that I'm not going to get into. But at 6:50, it starts here. Listen up.
Also quite expensive. So I was concerned about that. So from the payments standpoint, what I wanted to do was to make it possible for anybody in the world that had internet access to receive payments online that would settle immediately with finality at very, very low cost.
That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Now let's go to the 9:30 mark, and I'll play you another interesting clip. If you've been listening to this channel for any period of time, listen to this.
More derivative. That wouldn't have been a satisfactory solution. So taking a cue from government central banks, and in particular from the Fed, like if you look at the way the Fed and the Treasury, U.S. Treasury, tabulate and list their reserve assets, there's only 4 things that they count as offering, the sort of cash-like freedom from financial risk that would allow them to be classified as a reserve asset. So those 4 things are their reserve position with the International Monetary Fund, their holdings of SDRs, which is a special token that only generates within the IMF. They might have balances at a foreign central bank, or they might have gold. So of the 4 of those, the only one that was accessible to me, of course, was gold. But it had several advantages to use as a reserve asset anyway. One of them being there was a very well-established existing infrastructure.
All right, so I just thought that would be interesting to you. Now, so I looked a little further for this guy, this Douglas Jackson, and was able to find an article from 2013. 2013, this is November 12th, 2013, way back when. It's called Who Needs Bitcoin? Check out these virtual currency alternatives, and it takes you through. Now, as we go through these, There's only two that are left to my knowledge, and you'll see them. There's only two left standing, and one of them, trust me, I went to a Litecoin conference, and Litecoin ain't it. I can promise you that. So let's go down the list, and all of these are gone, except there's really one man left standing here. As we go down the list, first they talk about eGold, which is this guy's thing that was shut down in 2008. Then as we keep going down, we see Liberty Reserve was one. And then as we keep going, Litecoin, which I went to the conference. And remember, the founder, Charlie Lee, he's admittedly already sold all of his Litecoin. And you'd be pretty hard pressed to see too much going on with Litecoin. And then Peercoin was around in 2013 when I first got into this. It's pretty much dead at this point. Oh, there's Ripple. Ripple is alive and well. And then OpenCoin, which was done by this guy, David Chaum. I haven't heard anything about that in recent years. And then Mintchip, haven't even heard of it. The last man standing, folks, Ripple. Now, some things are not a coincidence. At the beginning of my putting this video together, this had not been put out. When I was just about to turn this on to start recording this video, Ripple tweets this out. Are there parallels between gold and crypto? Listen to the latest Blockstars podcast with this guy from UC Berkeley and Joel Katz, David Schwartz. Folks, there are no coincidences. Finally, I wanted to show you this. Can you spare a dime? The U.S. Mint asks Americans to cash in their coins. There's a coin shortage, folks, and people don't want cash because of the current events. We live in some very interesting times, is all I will say. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family. It's about all the money and it's about all the gold. Of those two things, I am convinced after having been in this since 2013. Thank you for listening.